Yeah, welcome in. Welcome back to another episode of the Format Podcast. Got a good one for you here today. I'm gonna do some little GOAT debate, but not quite how you think about it. Anyway, before we get to that, you know what we gotta do. Go ahead if you haven't already. Here on YouTube, click that subscribe, that like, and that notification bell so you know when new episodes drop and you can stay with us. Definitely appreciate the support. If you want audio only, we're available pretty much anywhere you get your audio podcast. Just type in the Format Podcast, do a little bit of search. We should come up, and then you can go ahead and subscribe. Please leave us comments here on YouTube or on your audio podcast platform. All that helps us rise in the algorithm, helps more sports fans find us, helps us find more sports fans. Finally, please also give us that 5-star review, and don't forget to share if you like the content. Now, let's get to it. The NBA. You watch this channel, you know I've had complaints and gripes about the NBA. A lot of people say, "Old man, get off my lawn." A lot of people chalk it up to I guess, generational differences, et cetera, et cetera. But one of my biggest things about the NBA has been that it has consistently been probably the only league that totally disrespects the past and its past great players in efforts to prop up the current generation, which to me has always signaled that the NBA, while it's a business, knows that its product itself is actually suffering. And how do I know that? We know that even though viewing has changed, and that the NBA is more a social media league and that the demographics skew younger, realistically, where the real money comes from is television. So the NBA keeps getting huge contracts from the television networks to air the games, etc. And with that comes ad revenue. But at the end of the day, the numbers have consistently decreased in television viewing. We know that. This is a fact. Now, with all of that, the NBA keeps trying to find ways, and to their credit, right, they keep trying to find ways to prop up the game and to revive interest, etc. For the last couple of years, Adam Silver's been floating the idea of a mid-season tournament of some sort. Last year, they introduced the Eastern and Western Conference Finals MVP trophies. Eastern Conference Finals MVP trophy being legendary Boston Celtics small forward Larry Bird, and of course, Western Conference being legendary Los Angeles Lakers point guard Magic Johnson. So they've added those awards. The inaugural winners, I believe, were Jason Tatum from the Celtics, who better, right? And of course, Steph Curry from the Golden State Warriors, who ended up winning the championship. But okay, with all of that said, now the NBA has gone on and introduced, or I guess not necessarily introduced, but renamed a batch of their current awards. Now, before I get to that, we know that one of the biggest things in sports media is the never-ending, quote-unquote, GOAT debate in the NBA, LeBron James versus Michael Jordan. My estimation, there is no debate. If you listen to this channel, you know that. If you are objective in watching basketball, studying the game, you know that. There is no debate. Michael Jordan is the single greatest player who ever played. The fact that he is the hands-down greatest two-way player ever, that should pretty much seal the argument. We're looking at LeBron mostly for a lot of longevity awards. He's going to pass Kareem real quick here. I could do a whole show on that, and eventually I will, in terms of how that came about. Now, again, real quick, credit where credit is due. LeBron has done a tremendous job in keeping himself in physical condition to be able to pass Kareem and play at a high level for a very long time. But this show's not about that. The show's not even necessarily about the quote-unquote GOAT debate, because, again, in my estimation, there is none. Michael Jordan, hands down, greatest player of all time. Now, what I really wanted to touch bases on were how the NBA, which has consistently, in my estimation, done a great job of in pandering to the younger demographic, which they skew, disrespecting the past legends of the game by propping up these new ones and talking about how these new ones are doing this and doing that and rising up the scoring charts and this, that, and the third. For instance, you have LeBron James. It's a big deal that he passed Magic Johnson the other day on the all-time assist list. Now, the NBA and the sports media also doesn't give you the context, for the most part, that Magic Johnson took 20 years to do on the assist level what Magic Johnson did in 13. And I could go deeper into that, but no need. That should say it all by itself. So to say that LeBron James is, he passed Magic Johnson on the assist list, okay, great. Longevity award. Anyway, so what has the NBA done here? And this, to me, is a tacit admission, without actually saying it in so many words, that this current generation of the NBA is not quite what it's been propped up to be. Now, credit due to the NBA, they're doing a great job. They have to market their current stars, and they have to figure out a way to sell the game as it is now. But I think they know to themselves, if you ask them, internally in a quiet room and said, hey, this will never get out, which generation is best, they wouldn't say this one. But what did they go ahead and do? They have renamed a list of the season awards. Okay. And I'll start with the most improved player of the year award. And that has gone to probably arguably the first great big man in NBA history, George Mikan, legendary Lakers center, Minneapolis Lakers at that. He is the guy who basically invented the Mikan drill. It's named after him. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar can tell you how much time he spent as a youngster doing the Mikan drill. If you don't know what that is, go ahead and look it up. But yeah, he has the most improved player of the year trophy has been renamed after George Mikan. Now, obviously, I never saw the guy play. He played in the 40s and 50s, but they say he's the first great big man. And I do think it's interesting that they named the most improved player trophy after him. I would have to go back and do the research and see kind of like if they're viable numbers, what would be the reason that he would get the most improved player of the year trophy. But they named it after him. Next, Sixth Man of the Year trophy, John Hondo Havlicek, one of the great Celtics forwards. Celtics have really had a lot of great forwards over the years, by the way. Dave Cowens, John Hondo Havlicek, Larry Bird, Paul Pierce, Len Bias was going to be a great one. Unfortunately, he didn't make it. Reggie Lewis, he died early as well. And now, of course, Jason Tatum. So very interesting how the Celtics keep hitting on that small/power forward position. Of course, Kevin McHale, I left him out. But anyway, John Havlicek trophy awarded to the NBA Sixth Man of the Year. That's another one. All-time great, Hall of Famer. Hondo was a great one if you know anything about the Celtics. NBA Rookie of the Year trophy, Wilt Chamberlain. Now, this is where it gets interesting for me, and I'm gonna explain why. The next four of these trophies could have been named after a certain guy, and you'll see what I mean in a second. But the Wilt Chamberlain trophy awarded to NBA Rookie of the Year, and I believe he averaged 35 or 37 points a game as a rookie. So, that's statistically the greatest rookie season in NBA history, but that's been named after the Big Dipper himself, Wilt Chamberlain. NBA Defensive Player of the Year has been named after my guy, who I think is the greatest center of all time. A lot of people argue with that, and some agree with me, but that's cool. Hakeem Olajuwon, Hakeem the Dream. We know he's all-time leader in blocks, as we remember probably for the when was it? 72-73 season was when blocks, first blocks and steals, I believe, first started being counted as an official statistic. So in fairness to Kareem, in fairness to Wilt, in fairness to the dearly departed Mr. Russell, Bill Russell, their blocks weren't counted. So we take this with a grain of salt. But for blocks that were counted, Hakeem Olajuwon is #1 all time. And he is the only center on the top 10 in steals. Let's keep that in mind. I think 16, maybe 17 seasons he played, he's the only center top 10 all time in steals. That says a lot for Hakeem. So he is the Defensive Player of the Year trophy has been named after him. The Jerry West trophy awarded to the NBA Clutch Player of the Year. Now that's a new trophy in of itself. And we know that Jerry West, his nickname was Mr. Clutch. Now, I'm sure he hit a lot of huge baskets and won a lot of games in his career. But for me, and this is no disrespect to Jerry West, and he probably would agree, 1-8 in the NBA Finals to me does not earn you the nickname Mr. Clutch. I mean, 1-8. Come on. You were there, 9 times? You lost 8 of them. That to me doesn't say clutch. But the Jerry West trophy has now been named. The NBA Clutch Player of the Year trophy has been named after Jerry West. And finally, the NBA Most Valuable Player Award has been named after the one and only Michael Jeffrey Jordan, Air Jordan. And I think that basically speaks for how the NBA views this guy. Now, you could have made a legitimate argument for Kareem Abdul-Jabbar because he, how many does he have? He's got 6 MVPs, Mike's got 5. So you could have made a legit argument for that. However, just Michael Jordan's overall complete dominance of the game, that's something different. Now, the reason I said those last 4 awards were interesting, and you'll see why in a minute, is because the NBA Most Valuable Player Award, NBA Clutch Player of the Year Award, NBA Defensive Player of the Year Award, and NBA Rookie of the Year Award, all 4 of those could have been named after Michael Jordan. That says something. So I don't think there's an argument to be had there, right? They all could have been named after Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, in a better era than Wilt's rookie season, averaged 28 points per game. He was dominant on a terrible team. Michael Jordan, 9-time All-NBA defensive first team. Remember I said earlier in this video, he's the best two-way player of all time, hands down, right? So we know he was, I want to say, how many times was he? Played 13 years. So I want to say 11 times All-NBA first team at guard and 9 times All-NBA defensive first team. He could have been the defensive player of the year more times than he was. He was only that once. Clutch player of the year. Come on, we know about Mike in the clutch. I don't even need to go there. And of course, the most valuable player award is the Michael Jordan Trophy. So when it comes to the GOAT debate, you have a situation where you've got 4 out of the 6 annual awards in the NBA could be named after one guy. That should shut down any argument. Okay, what I want to know from you is, do you think that 4 of those 6 awards could have been named for Michael Jordan? Where are you on Michael Jordan versus LeBron James? Do you think I'm crazy? You think I'm just a hater? Go ahead, leave your comments in the comment section. Can't wait to hear from you. I'll be back next time, and I'm out. Peace.